My name is Steve, and I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, in a neighborhood where the sky used to turn orange at night because the steel mills never stopped burning. And my father worked 40 years in a plant that no longer exists. And my mother cleaned other people's houses so we could keep the heat on in winter. And by the time I was 12 years old, I already understood something that most kids never have to learn, which is that the world does not owe you anything, not one single thing. And if you want something out of this life, you are going to have to go out and rip it out of the ground with your own two hands, because nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to hand you a check. Nobody is coming to tell you that everything is going to be fine. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can actually start building something real. And I want to tell you about the years when Cleveland fell apart because I lived through it. I watched it happen block by block. I watched the factories close their gates one after another. I watched grown men who had given their entire lives to a company stand outside locked doors with nowhere to go. And I watched my own neighborhood empty out until half the houses on my street were boarded up. And people in other cities started calling us the mistake on the lake. They said it on the news. They said it like a joke, like our whole city was a punchline. And let me tell you something. When you are 17 years old and you hear people mock the place that raised you, something changes inside you. Either it breaks you or it lights a fire in you that never goes out. And for me, it lit a fire because I decided right then that I was not going to be a statistic. I was not going to be another name on a list of people who left and never came back. I was going to stay right here in this city that everybody wrote off. And I was going to build something out of nothing if it killed me. And it almost did more than once, because let me be honest with you, my first business failed. It failed hard. I put every dollar I had into a small repair shop. I borrowed money from people I shouldn't have borrowed from. I worked 18-hour days for 2 years straight. And then the bank called the loan, and it was over in a single afternoon. Everything I built gone. And I remember standing in that empty shop with the keys in my hand, about to hand them back, and feeling like the whole city was watching me fail exactly the way everyone expected me to fail. And I will tell you, that night was the lowest point of my entire life. I sat in my car outside that shop for 3 hours and I did not move. And I asked myself the only question that matters when everything falls apart, which is simply this: do I quit or do I get back up? And I want you to understand something. Getting back up is not a metaphor. It is not a nice phrase you put on a poster. It is a physical decision you make with your body when every part of you wants to stay on the ground. And I made that decision. I got up the next morning and I went and found work sweeping floors in a warehouse for $8 an hour. A grown man with a failed business behind him, sweeping floors. And I want you to sit with that for a second, because there is no shame in starting over at the bottom. The only shame is staying there when you could be climbing. And I swept those floors for a year. And every single night after my shift, I sat at my kitchen table and I studied everything I could find about how businesses actually survive, not how they start. Everybody knows how to start something. The hard part is how they survive the years when nobody believes in you. And slowly, piece by piece, I put together a plan, and I want to be honest with you about something else too. This is not a story about luck. I did not win a lottery. Nobody discovered me. There was no shortcut. It was 3 more years of nights and weekends before I opened my second business, a small logistics operation, 6 trucks. That's all it was in the beginning. 6 trucks and a phone and a stubbornness that I inherited from every single person who ever survived a winter in this city. And those first years were brutal. I lost drivers, I lost contracts. I had a fire in one of my warehouses that wiped out 2 months of inventory. I had a partner who took money that was not his to take. And every single time something like that happened, I heard that same voice in my head, the voice that says, quit, go find a normal job, stop embarrassing yourself. And every single time I told that voice the same thing, not today. And I want you to take that phrase with you when you leave here tonight, not today. Because you do not have to solve your entire future in one moment. You only have to survive today, and then you wake up and you survive the next one. And eventually those days stack up into years, and those years become a life that you actually built instead of a life that just happened to you. And today, all these years later, that 6 truck operation has grown into something I never could have imagined, sitting in that empty repair shop with the keys in my hand. And I did not do it by being the smartest person in the room. I promise you, I was never that. I did it by refusing to leave the room, by outlasting every single obstacle that this city and this life threw in front of me. And Cleveland taught me that. This city taught me everything, because this is a city that has been counted out again and again, written off, mocked, abandoned by the very industries that built it. And every single time it found a way to come back, not because it was lucky, but because the people who stayed here refused to let it die. And I am one of those people, and I am telling you tonight, whatever you are facing right now, whatever failure is sitting on your chest at this exact moment, whatever voice is telling you that you are not going to make it, that voice is a liar. It has always been a liar. The only truth that matters is the one you decide to act on tomorrow morning when you get out of bed. And I don't care where you are starting from. I started from a boarded up street in a city the whole country was laughing at. And I am telling you, there is no such thing as a mistake on the lake. There are only people who stopped fighting too early, and I refuse to be one of them. And you should refuse too. So get up tomorrow and do the work nobody is watching you do, because that is the only work that ever actually changes anything. That is the only work that built this city back up brick by brick, and that is the only work that is going to build whatever future you are dreaming about right now. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you before you believe in yourself, because I promise you, nobody believed in me either. Not the banks, not my neighbors, not even some of my own family. And I built it anyway, and so can you. Not today means never quitting. It means showing up one more time than you think you can. It means taking the next step even when you cannot see the whole staircase. And that is how a boy who grew up watching his city fall apart ends up standing here telling you that it is possible. All of it is possible. So go out there tomorrow morning and prove it to yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And this city, this hard, stubborn, beautiful city on the lake, is proof enough that anything left for dead can still find a way to rise.